The NBA schedule today, but there is news. Let's get into today's headlines, and we begin with the Houston Rockets. In the aftermath of violating the NBA's COVID-19 protocols, James Harden could play in the Rockets' next game if he remains quarantined and continues to test negative. Harden was not allowed to play in Houston's opener on Wednesday, which was eventually postponed since the Rockets fell short of the minimum number of players available to play. In the NFL, COVID-19 protocols have caused a major shakeup for the Lions coaching staff. Interim head coach Darrell Bevell and 4 defensive assistants will not be able to coach in Saturday's game against the Bucs. Receivers coach Robert Prince will end up handling the head coaching duties. Also, George Kittle's return is too late to save the 49ers playoff hopes, but the star tight end will be activated off injured reserve for Saturday's game against the Cardinals. The 49ers went 1-5 over their last 6 games that Kittle missed with a foot injury. And in baseball, a notable trade in what has been a relatively quiet offseason so far. The Pirates sending first baseman Josh Bell to the Nationals for a pair of pitching prospects. Bell was an all-star in 2019, but only hit .226 in 57 games during the 2020 shortened season. And back to our top story, James Harden could be available for the Rockets game on Saturday against the Blazers. He's currently under quarantine and needs to produce negative tests for 4 straight days to get back on the court. Now, testing began on Tuesday. Harden violated the NBA's COVID protocols by attending an indoor party without wearing a mask. And in addition to Harden, 7 other Rockets were sidelined for Houston's opener yesterday against OKC that was postponed, leaving the team 1 short of the minimum 8 players who must be available to play. That included John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins, who were out due to contact tracing. 7 of the 8 players were unavailable because of these COVID-19 related issues. Earlier today on The Jump, Rachel Nichols spoke to NBA Commissioner Adam Silver about Harden's situation.
You guys decided to fine him $50,000 for violating COVID protocols earlier this week. Above and beyond that, you guys could have decided to suspend him. Why fine instead of suspend?
The precedent is that discipline gets ratcheted up, and it's Christmas. It was a first offense. Frankly, to your point, the $50,000 is the limit of my authority under the collective bargaining agreement. And what would have happened? I mean, in a way, he got lucky, because if the game had taken place last night as scheduled and he were unavailable because of his own actions, he would have missed a game and a paycheck. And so it would have, in practice, and ultimately have turned out to be a much larger sanction.
Adrian Wojnarowski now joins us. Woj, let's start with Harden. How the league determined this course of action that could get Harden back on the court on Saturday. Break that down for us.
Well, Adam Silver spelled it out there with Rachel Nichols. Number one, he treated it like a first offense, and I guess there was some empathy for the holiday. But when you talk to people around in the league, there was a sense too that, listen, the NBA does not want the Rockets to be in another position Saturday night in Portland where they're perhaps not having enough players to play against the Blazers or again on Monday. And this is an organization that has been reeling with the James Harden trade request, the positive tests. And, there's still an organization right now that's trying to get Boogie Cousins and John Wall back on the court. But as much as it was a break for James Harden, this was a break for the Rockets organization, that wants to get some footing with a new GM, a new head coach, and get James Harden back on the floor amid, what's been a very turbulent preseason, early season for them.
You talk about the organization reeling. I mean, what do they have to do as a team right here in order to play on Saturday against Portland with or without Harden?
Yeah, they need, right now in contact tracing and the testing that John Wall's undergoing, DeMarcus Cousins is undergoing. Ben McLemore tested positive, we are told. They're waiting for him to be able to come back and play again. But the Rockets want to be able to get on a plane to Portland and for that Portland-Denver trip and have Cousins and Wall ready to go. There's a protocol in place for that, just like Harden right now has to sit until Friday. So you're losing practice time. You're losing a chance to get some cohesion with this group. And, the Rockets very much just want to get James Harden in that backcourt with John Wall and see if they can get a little traction with this team as they start the season out with a new head coach Steven Silas.
Well, the news cycle just doesn't seem to end for this Houston squad as this year starts off. Woj, thank you and happy holidays. So after Wednesday's postponement, the Rockets are scheduled to start their season again in Portland on Saturday. Again, that is if they can get the requisite 8 healthy players. The team has a quick turnaround with a trip to Denver on Monday. Then it's back to Houston for 2 straight games against the Kings and 1 against the Mavericks. Washington football team owner Dan Snyder says he's being extorted, claiming the source is a minority owner. Snyder filed the accusation in court yesterday, alleging that Dwight Scharr is trying to force him to sell the franchise. Snyder cites that Scharr was involved in Tuesday's Washington Post report that uncovered a $1.6 million confidential settlement in 2009 that was paid by the team to a former female employee over sexual misconduct allegations against Snyder. The NFL is conducting their own investigation against the team after the Post previously reported multiple allegations of workplace misconduct that's been levied against the franchise. On the field, Alex Smith taking part in individual drills on Thursday. He got some work in with his receivers at Washington's practice. His status for this weekend is unknown as he continues to deal with a calf strain, which means despite all the drama surrounding off-field activities, Dwayne Haskins could get the start come Saturday, or Sunday, I should say, against the Panthers.
He did have a good day today. It was promising. We'll see how he is in the morning. As I've told you guys, when a guy does a lot of work, we always try to see how he feels in the morning because that's always a good indicator. And, he had a good day yesterday. This morning he was okay. Today he had a good day. He did a lot of work. And that's all promising. In the meantime, Dwayne took his reps that we had mapped out for him. And then Taylor Heineke took some reps that we had mapped out for him, as did Steven Montez.
Adam Schefter joining us now, and I have never felt so underdressed in my professional career. I was not expecting this, Adam. You got to send me the email. You got to send me the memo. I'll be festive with you.
Well, Nabil, I wasn't expecting it either, except the crew at NFL Live made me dress up after I didn't dress up for the initial segment, so I put this on to satisfy them, and you are the benefactor of me not wanting to change my clothes once again.
This is amazing. It is festive. It is part of the mood. I like it. We're going to go with it because we got to go with it. We got questions for you. We got to talk about Alex Smith. Listen, it's got to be a positive step forward that he was doing those individual drills today. But what's the realistic outlook for his status on Sunday?
The way it's been explained to me is that it would be challenging all week long for Alex Smith to start. Now, that doesn't mean he won't. He's obviously making progress, and Ron Rivera sounds encouraged with the way he's progressing. Dwayne Haskins has taken all the starter reps so far, and I think they want to see how Alex Smith feels on Friday morning, how that calf is coming along. The way it was described to me is calves can be tricky, and they want to be sure about this with Alex Smith. So again, I still think that Dwayne Haskins probably has a slight nudge to being the favorite to start this weekend against Carolina in a game Washington has to have, but I don't think they have a decision at all at this point in time.
Meanwhile, an odd situation with the Lions and their coaching staff. There's a major shakeup going into Saturday's game against Tampa. Interim head coach Darrell Bevell and 4 defensive assistants will not be on the sidelines due to COVID-19 protocols. A handful of coaches will be shifted around to cover different positions, including receivers coach Robert Prince, who will serve as head coach. Now, Bevell spoke about the unusual situation today.
As far as, the day-to-day, all the way up to game day, we'll be doing our same roles. Again, today I did our normal red area installs today. We're watching practice virtually. We're talking, making corrections with the coaches after. Still have all our meetings. Everything's exactly the same. Tomorrow's meetings will be the same. Just will not be able to be there on game day.
Listen, Adam, there is no playbook for this. What kind of challenges are going to be presented to Detroit, particularly on game day?
Well, Nabil, if the Denver Broncos could play a game without quarterbacks, the Lions could do it without essentially the key coaches in a game. But that's exactly what they're going to have to do this week. Obviously, Sean Ryan is going to be the offensive coordinator at this point in time. You look at all the people who will be out. Robert Prince becomes the interim coach for the interim coach who replaced Matt Patricia. Evan Rothstein is the assistant to the head coach. He now becomes the new defensive play caller, a man who's never called plays in a game. And all the other assistants there all get promotions on game day with Lions assistant coaches in roles that they've never been in before in a game against Tampa Bay. Now, again, keep in mind, This is all because of the COVID protocols. And a guy like Darrell Bevell spent the week isolated in a hotel room. It was his 28th wedding anniversary. Couldn't even go be around his wife, couldn't be around his family, had to stay in this hotel room, and now doesn't get to coach the game against the Buccaneers.
Well, I know this. The Bucs, they could care less. With the win, they clinch a playoff spot, Adam. That suit, not everybody could pull